All right, we are live and back at it. Guys, we're going to take just a few minutes for a couple questions. If there's anybody out there on Zoom that wants to type one in, we'll try to get to that. But otherwise, I think we're just going to ask each other a couple of questions that we came up with as we were listening to each other's presentation. So Mary, you had a question for John a minute ago, right?
Yeah, I was really fascinated by your story about the whale and the trifecta of all three and the dream and how that all came together. And I'm just really curious how you have been affected by that and bring that into some type of mindfulness practice, or what do you do with that when you have an experience that way?
That's a great question. And so when I had the experience with the whales and their songs and their feeling and that unconditional love came into me and gave me that ecstatic space, what I've done with that is to then have that as my intention when I'm working with people. So the feeling that's visceral inside me, you can't forget something like that. It's tangible, it's real, it's authentic. And so the gift in that experience was somehow I started to be able to tone and start making whale sounds, especially with delay and reverb. It really gives this, if people feel like, is that a recording of whales?
I have heard that. I've been in that. I've opened my eyes to go like, yeah, I opened the eyes to peek and go like,
right.
What? How? What is
Right.
that? That's amazing.
And so this is kind of shamanic shape shifting, if you will. So if I'm gonna make bird sounds, it all comes from reading Castaneda years ago, and, turning into a crow. But it's really about the essence is you take on the embodiment of whatever animal or that you're tuning into. What does it feel like to be that size, to be that whale, to emanate such a incredible feeling of unconditional love? And then going back to the carrier wave of the instruments, whether it's just the vocal cords, the voice, or through a flute making whale sounds and all these things. It's about giving people an experience with the whales that don't always have the opportunity to get in Maui and get in a boat and go have that, but they can have it, so this is kind of the way in which the journeys work for me is it's a round trip ticket because of all the world instruments and different cultures that come through, or in the concerts. Every song is from a different, culture. And so that's what's fun for me, is to give people that opportunity that don't get a chance to go to all these different places around the world, and I can synergize. And that's just been something that, universe has shared with me that I can share with others. So,
Can you give us any demonstration on? Can you give us any demonstration on that? I know we don't have the reverbs and delays that I know you like, but if you feel like it, if you don't, it's okay.
It would be something where I can try.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound as cool.
John Strayer, can we cue some reverb, even though we can't hear it for our guests? Cue some reverb for him. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do that.
He's on green.
Yeah.
Also, this camera, I feel like I'm on a boat here. We're like,
yeah.
The camera's
The
going.
waterfall.
It's like the camera's tilted. I'm just noticing.
It's kind of cool. I kind of like it.
Everybody lean this way. I'm going to balance it off. Getting seasick here.
You're real tall in this one.
Tall.
All right, I'm ready. Something like that.
Wow.
You get ideas. So these clicking sounds,
Good
these guttural
job.
sounds, I have no idea how good that sounds because I'm just hearing it.
I'm sure it
dry.
sounded good.
But,
It sounded good here, so it had to sound good there. Yeah.
So I would do this underwater with the whales when I'm surfing. It's like, sometimes you're surfing and while you're waiting for whales, you're just getting wet because it's hot out. And I would start hearing the songs, and I would start calling back and having these conversations. It was
That's amazing.
so fun to do that. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question,
Thank you.
Mary. That was
Thanks.
perfect. Yeah. Let's see. I'll throw. Actually, Susie, go ahead. Yeah.
Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for Gabriel.
Oh, goodness.
He's the one asking all the questions. Now it's
Right.
time to hear an
My
answer or two.
turn? Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's
Yeah.
do this.
All right, brother, because you are a bright light in this community as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what do you do to have a deeper sense of emotional resiliency? Because, we all know whether it's in relationship or life or whatever, sometimes, it clenches down south.
Yeah.
How do you move your energy or open your heart and get to that place of either equilibrium or even something that's even more expansive and loving?
Thank you. Thank you, Stuzy, for that on all counts. Let's see. Well, music and dance for sure. That really is a primary force for me. It's one of the main reasons that Mary and I drew together. We like to refer to each other as DJ and the dancer, which is really fun. It works out nicely. And thank you, Stuzy, for introducing us. You were actually the person that brought us together, so thank you so much. And I definitely see the world that we create within our music and dance community for myself as it's like a gravitational force. It just constantly kind of pulls me back in, and some of my most joyful moments that I've ever experienced in life have been either on the dance floor as a dancer or, creating music where people are dancing. And so those are memories that I can really source from, and they definitely help in those moments of self-doubt, those moments of, am I good enough? Am I smart enough, clever enough, any of those things? Am I worthy of receiving, love from my beloved, things of that nature? And, personally, I also do enjoy the practices of Tai Chi and yoga and, what might be considered somewhat typical versions of meditation. Those actually really do speak to me, and I really do, resonate a lot with either gentle stillness, in moments of gentle meditation, or moving meditation of Tai Chi and yoga. I feel like I'm a very embodied type person. I feel my feelings very viscerally, and when it comes to needing to release those feelings or to try to source, more from the great divine, being in some form of movement is definitely powerful. And I definitely enjoy sitting, although I am very extroverted by many accounts. People would consider me to be very extroverted. I love people, I love being around people, and I do source a lot of energy from people. But when it comes to being able to regrow, like if I'm really depleted, for any reason at all, I do actually need some space to myself and to just kind of sit with the earth and walk on the land and, not necessarily be totally alone, but definitely not super social. So I like to find times for, downtime is the best way that I can describe it. So yeah, how does that sound like what the question that you were asking?
Well, it sounds like it's your truth. Let's go with that.
Okay,
That's
that
plenty
sounds good. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. What else, if anything? We don't have to try to make this go long, but anybody else pulling some questions?
I keep having something going in my head about your humor as a way of release.
Good one.
And
Yeah.
we were always talking about the oxytocin and smiles and stuff like that. But there's something about laughing and a sense of humor. And I just wanted to ask you about the internal jog that we get when we laugh and your humor. As it relates.
Yeah, laughter is definitely great medicine, for all of us, I love to laugh. I love to be entertained So,
Mhm.
you know, and to have something to laugh at.
Mhm.
And if I can't find something to laugh at, I'll make something up to laugh at. And yeah, and that is actually one of the ways that I feel like I serve, is to take what otherwise can be something difficult, let's call it transformation, where people don't know how to grow beyond where they've been.
Mhm.
And if people can be disarmed, you know, through some lightheartedness and some laughter, you know, and of course with laughter, what makes things funny, one is that there's at least more than one grain of truth in it, right? As well as maybe a bit of a surprise.
Mhm.
For people, once people start laughing, it's like the defense mechanisms start to drop
Mhm.
and start to ease. And then I feel like, you know, maybe some deeper truths or things to provoke some thought or wonder
Mhm.
can be introduced without the resistance, or, you know, this guy's too out there or something like that. And so thank you. Yeah, I find humor is a great way to kind of disarm.
Yeah.
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 Thank you
Eases
for asking that, Wade.
tension.
I could share just a moment on that too.
Yeah.
As an example, as a testimonial, you know, my greatest teachers were always just funny and made me laugh.
Uh-huh.
And even if it was a subject as hard as physics or chemistry,
Right.
I became an art major for a reason, right? I was not mathematically inclined, and so very right-brained.
Mhm.
But somehow, with a teacher being comical in his presence and doing little skits to teach us, I could do advanced calculus, where I couldn't even get past algebra in my math class because it's Bueller. It was like, and then, but in physics, and it was like I was learning so much. Subject matters can be so much more digested and learned with humor, and so therefore, all my greatest spiritual teachers, especially that Zen master, my God, these are the funniest people I ever met. And so I would just be, in tears, laughing, at the same time learning such deep, profound knowledge.
Thank you, Joan.
You know, I'm going to continue the humor topic.
Sure.
Because that's what works the most effectively with understanding personality styles, is that with my audiences, we start laughing at the human nature, just the humanness. And I can remember when I first started presenting, I would say, doctors, I don't have anything in common with doctors, but we're all human underneath. And it's so fun to get people laughing at themselves. And we'll do these things where we put them into different groups to talk about, what is your style, introvert or extrovert. I perceive you as a real connector. You're always connecting people. You're connected to meanings. You're connected in the moment with the words. I mean, your mind connects words together and things like that. And, the combination of thinker and mover that you are, I mean, it is pretty obvious. And in the groups, when we put them on there, they say things about themselves that we are rolling laughing about, but they're making fun of themselves or saying things about themselves. And it's the humor that you remember mostly is when you go, hey, we can laugh at ourselves and our different personality traits.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it stick and memorable. Like you said, you can make any topic so gallantly fun with the laughing.
And there's so many, like Zen, for example, is a classic example of deep philosophy that is basically all about laughing at the grand joke of it all, and that we are never going to know the meaning of life. Well, 42 maybe, but other than that, you guys got my reference.
We all have
We all have something to say now. But it's really fun to think about humor from it in the standpoint of the grand universe scheme of things. That there's probably some why do we laugh at all? Why does humor even exist if it's not like a huge component to the way that the universe is made up?
I've got a great just continuation of that thought. I remember getting this birthday card sent to me, and it's this like Buddhist monk, and it says, "Not thinking of you." It's like, happy birthday.
That's That's good.
Right there
That's
you go.
really
Right? Like
good.
the mindfulness.
That's really good.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that also reminds me of the Dalai Lama's birthday card. He gets a box with nothing in it. Nothing. Just what I always wanted.
Just what I always wanted.
And but that also offers up the opportunity is for us to laugh at ourselves more,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I think that's one of the
And
things.
the universe more.
And the universe. But that's so. My understanding of the punchline to the cosmic joke
Mhm.
is that heaven is Earth.
Absolutely.
Heaven is Earth. But so is hell. So choose wisely. Choose wisely.
Amen.
And that really, I think, comes down to one of the things about mindfulness or whatever we're calling this topic here is choice.
Mhm.
Is that in every moment we do have the power of choice as to where we place our attention. We may think we don't because we're often operating, and I speak for myself, I know what it's like to operate on automatic pilot, and I have a circumstance, I will respond the same way because that's what I thought I'm supposed to do, or that's what I've been conditioned to do. And rumor has it, it's a brand new moment. Each one is. So we actually do have choice. And maybe it's enough, and that's one thing that I do as another practice, actually, is to notice in those moments of contraction or, ooh, that hurts, is to really, okay, my alarm system just went off.
Right.
And I ask myself yet another question. What are my choices right now? What are my choices?
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with feeling the hurt, feeling whatever that contraction is. There's nothing wrong. It's just simply, on one level, energy. It just feels uncomfortable in the body. Nothing wrong with it. Frequently, I notice that when I'm feeling that contracted energy, I'm typically not paying attention to the fact that I'm actually an aspect of source. And I'm disconnected on some level from that. Again, we get to be human. We're not here to flatline and, right? We need a little contrast, don't we?
The polarity of it.
Polarity and all the rest. And my sense is a lot of the suffering that any of us experience on a profound level is optional on some level. And that when we remember that we actually have choice as to what we pay attention to, it may be time to go inhale some sun and smile for no other reason that it has its own scientific, highly reliable karma associated with it.
The power of choice.
It's such a mindful practice, right? So those emotions stir in us so deeply at times because we all have these little triggers. We all have these little pokes or big pokes. And so it's the same thing. Like, this has been the best game in town for me for years because it's not like I'm immune to being poked, right? And so when that happens, what do we do with that? Because you can feel it viscerally. And so what I like to just add to that is, it's, for me, there's lower frequencies, right? All the negative stuff that we could think of. And then there's this bar, there's this place where if we choose courage, we shift into the higher frequencies. We shift into the love, the joy, the bliss. So the fear and everything that goes along with that moment of when we can just sense, I am actually really triggered, I'm in fear, to not to shame ourselves of those feelings, but to actually let that be an opportunity to get in the spirit gym, work out in some spirit muscle, our musculature, and choose courage, which the incredible thing about that, because we talked a lot about the dopamine, we talked about the hormones, when we're stressed, when we're in fear, our immune system is going down, down, down. But as soon as we choose courage, our immune systems go skyrocketing. It actually heals. And then those higher frequencies start to affect more and more people around us in the auric field. Therefore, why would I want to stay down in this realm? But the trick is getting our immune systems and getting all that still stress and the laughter and the smile, like you were saying earlier. So that it all is one complete picture, and it's a spiritual practice. This isn't something that just sounds good in a lecture on a Zoom call.
Right.
This is to be practiced every day. And guess what? There's plenty of opportunities to practice every day how to get in that lag time. That lag time gets shorter and shorter and shorter.
That's a great point.
and it's been really beautiful. And then just look at what's been happening in the world for 3 years. How much fear has been programmed? Are you hearing the courageous stories? It depends on what news you follow, but that's such a key factor in this, is the ability to remember not to just get bogged down with fear, but to choose that courage. So anyway, that's my
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for bringing. Really appreciate you speaking to that, because it really is my spiritual practice.
Yeah, in fact, I just wanted to add, alongside the courage is also defenselessness. And I'll just kind of acceptance of what is in the moment, if you will, and not resisting or fighting it. So, for example, I'm a veteran of a few marriages, and they typically don't end with smiles, okay?
Typically.
And so there was a pattern of a lot of criticism coming from my beloved towards me, and my going into defense mode or needing to prove something and trying to justify why I am what I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And then one day I just shifted and said, you know what, I'm going to try something new. And I said, it must be really hard for you to have so much judgment of your husband. Is there anything that you haven't shared with me yet that you'd like to? And she let me have it. A lot of it I'd already heard, but I gave her, and I just then, in that moment, I became Neo in the Matrix. And the bullet, exactly, John. The bullets are flying, and it's just, boom,
Yeah.
And within a few days, she came to me and said, you know what? I think I'm going to move out and take the kids with me. In fact, she moved to Sedona, where I had met her, which, suffice it to say, is what made sure I was going to come back here. But anyway, just to notice that it's also in that defenselessness, or in that surrender to what is, and just say, okay, just whatever it is, just let me have it. I don't have to prove or defend anything. I know that I'm inherently a good and loving person, and I imagine anybody watching, if you really sit with it, that you can own that for yourself as well. That you, no matter what we've been through, no matter how we've been abused, no matter what decisions we wish we could have done over, we are inherently good. We've done our best with the awareness we had in the moment.
Yep.
And we're actually in a new moment now. And we get to approach that with new awareness.
Oh. I feel like that might be a good closer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stuzy.
Thank you, everybody
John
out there.
Dumas. Thank you, Mary Dancer Mississon.
Thank you, Gabriel Brown.
My name.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. And thank you, Humankind and John Strayer, for putting all of this together. Check out all the websites that everybody's mentioned here today, to follow us on some of these different socials. Follow Humankind on these different socials that I'm sure you're aware of if you're on this call at all. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. And keep in touch. Thank you so much. This is just the beginning. This is like the maiden voyage. Yeah.
Thanks for
Really an
tuning
honor
in
to
and being
invite
with
us,
us.
John. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, John Strayer.
Thank you.
Yes. See you guys next time. Ciao.